Good afternoon and welcome to the Cabinet meeting. As usual, this meeting is broadcast live via the Council's website and will be archived so you can view it afterwards. Members are reminded to switch their phones off microphones on before speaking and turn them off when finishing speaking. Apologies for absence. I've received apologies from Mr. Kevin Crook. The minutes of the meeting held on the 28th of October 25. I move the minutes of the meeting held on the 28th of October and taken as read, confirmed and signed. Is that agreed? Thank you. Urgent items. There are no urgent items. Number 3 is declarations of interest. Does anyone have any interest to declare in respect of items on the agenda? No? Thank you. Right, we move on to item 4, that's Schools Place Strategy 2026 to 2031. I'd like to welcome Jane Moore, thank you, and Tim, thank you, to present this item.
Lovely, thank you, Leader. So the purpose of this report is to seek Cabinet approval to consult on Leicestershire's School Places Strategy. And the strategy sets out how the Council will meet its statutory duties to ensure there are sufficient high-quality places in the right place at the right time. The principles of the foundation outlined in the strategy are particularly important as educationally the county is experiencing and will undergo significant change over the next decade, not least with the demographic changes and a number of new housing developments leading to the establishment of the equivalent of around 45 new schools. We're also experiencing certain areas of the county pupil decline, a decline in pupil numbers, I should say, in some parts of the county where we'll need a clear framework to ensure the entire school system remains sustainable and viable, both in terms financially, but perhaps more importantly in terms of breadth and quality of provision across the different areas. This strategy sets out that framework and gives us a clear direction of travel in terms of both opening new schools, minimum requirements, and also how we'll undertake any school reorganisation, which could mean merging, expanding, contracting schools across various areas, particularly in some of the rural areas of the county where numbers are declining quite significantly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that your presentation? Is Jane going to comment? Oh no, right, okay. I like that style. Very good. Right, so we move on then to Charles Pugley to speak and move the motion on the order paper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take this opportunity to commend officers on the draft School Places Strategy, which sets out how the Council will meet its statutory duties to ensure that there are sufficient high-quality school places in Leicestershire, whilst also ensuring that they're in the right place at the right time. Background, principles and challenges of delivering school places in Leicestershire between now and 2031 are also discussed in detail in this strategy. In order to ensure the financial strategy reflects local needs, I'm proposing that Cabinet agree to a consultation which will enable feedback from our key stakeholder groups to be considered before a final version of the strategy is put before Cabinet for adoption in February next year. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Could I call upon Mr. Akiki to second the motion, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm extremely happy to second this motion. I agree with Charles that the School Places Strategy clearly sets out the way that the Council will ensure sufficiency of school places across the county, including the principles for determining where school places are needed and the changing nature of the educational landscape. I'm happy to second the proposal for Cabinet to agree to a consultation on the draft strategy to ensure that views of our stakeholders can be incorporated into the final version of this strategy. I'll second this motion happily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Right, members, is that agreed? Thank you. Right, so now we move on to item 5, the proposed transfer of funding from schools block to high needs block of the dedicated schools grant. The next item advises of the outcome of the consultation process with schools on proposed funding transfer of schools block to the high needs block of the dedicated schools grant 2026/27. Along with the feedback from the schools forum, the report outlines 2 options for funding sustainable outreach and graduate support for mainstream schools, continuing with the transfer of schools block to the high needs block, or implementing a range of other measures to continue to fund the outreach support. Could I call upon Jane, or please, the director, to tell us more? Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. So the report that you've got in front of you sets out the outcome of the consultation process with schools on a proposed funding transfer from the schools block to the high needs block, the dedicated schools grant. As we know, it's been widely reported nationally, the challenges facing the SEND system and the financial pressures being faced by councils across the county and country. Leicestershire is no different, with the growth in numbers of education, health and care plans continuing to accelerate and a 15% increase since the beginning of 2025. And forecasts indicate that Leicestershire will have over 8,500 plans by the end of the financial year, 3 years ahead of the original growth forecasts, with an accompanying in-year high needs block deficit of 45 million and a cumulative deficit of 111 million. The report that you've got in front of you outlines 2 options for funding enhanced outreach support for young people to help prevent their needs escalating to statutory services. Firstly, to continue with the 0.5% transfer from the schools block to the high needs block in order to continue with the SEND investment fund of approximately 2.8 million. In order to enact the transfer, we need to cap the gains of schools in the 26/27 financial year. And whilst this method does create a significant pot of money, it does predominantly impact those schools with higher levels of deprivation and pupils with vulnerabilities disproportionately due to the national funding formula mechanism and the requirement to uphold the government's minimum funding guarantee for pupils. The second option is to seek a per pupil contribution from schools to fund the pupil outreach support and a commitment from schools to supporting ongoing mainstream inclusion. This would create a fund that replaces the current SEND investment fund. This option, in addition to a contribution, would also involve schools committing to supporting ongoing mainstream inclusion and support measures to create a more sustainable financial position going forward. We'd ask that schools reduce the number of new education, health and care plan requests through the development of mainstream inclusion offers, reduce permanent exclusions using mechanisms such as managed moves and alternative provision to support children, accepting and providing enhanced support for pupils with special educational needs rather than needing to seek specialist provision, and developing inclusion provision and spaces. Included in the report is feedback from the schools consultation on the schools block transfer and the SEND investment fund. The schools forum earlier in November voted against undertaking a schools block transfer. So I'll move to the recommendations on the order paper in relation to noting the consultation that took place on the transfer, noting the information in the report on both options, and then moving to agreeing a preferred option for implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I call upon Mr. Pugsley to speak and move the motion on the order paper?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the report notes, the number of children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities in need of support in Leicestershire is growing at a faster rate than the funding available, leading to an increasingly unsustainable financial position for the council and education system in the county. One of the key strategies in response to the issue is mainstream inclusion, and there is a clear need for an ongoing outreach and graduated support offer for pupils in mainstream schools. Having considered the options proposed in detail, and taking into account the views of schools captured through the consultation and the discussion at the last school forum that I attended, I've come to the conclusion that pursuing another schools block transfer is not the right answer to the funding question posed to us today. With this in mind, I'm proposing that Cabinet support option 2, which is to support the proposal to fund outreach and support from Oakfield School through a per pupil contribution model. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I call upon Mr. Fowler to second the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, and thanks, Charles, for his words there. I think it speaks for itself, really, the situation that we're in. This unprecedented demand is something that's outside of our control, and we're left with the responsibility of dealing with it, which obviously we will. Ultimately, we have to make a decision on this, and I support Charles in option B being the right way of going forward. £45 million overspend just on the high needs block budget is a massive thing. So measures like this need to be taken. So I'm happy to second that.
Thank you very much. The dedicated school grant, DESFIT, is a significant financial concern to the authority, and measures to support more children and young people with special educational needs remains in mainstream schools is absolutely vital. I'm confident that the outreach and support model for Oakfield School will provide children and young people with the support and the needs they need in reducing for specialist schools places and the growth of high need block budgets. Is that agreed? Thank you. Thank you very much. We move on to item 6 now, to the Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council Regulation 18 Local Plan Consultation. Agenda item 6 advises of the content of the Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council Regulation 18 Local Plan Consultation, sets out the County Council's proposed response. We have comments from Mr. Mellon, CC, in support of the written submission from Norton Heath Objection Group. These are attended on the order paper marked 6A. Jana Walker, Assistant Director of Environment and Transport, will present the report. Over to you, Jana. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. So as you said, this report presents a formal response of the County Council to this round of Hinckley and Bosworth Council's Regulation 18 Draft Local Plan Consultation. And it's just worth putting in context and for reassurance to members that there have been previous rounds of consultation on the Hinckley and Bosworth plan, and this response really focuses on the updated and new elements of that. And we expect that previous comments we've made around wider issues or previous consultations will be carried forward and given weight in moving towards the Regulating 19 stage. So as you know, the preparation of a local plan involves comments from a wide range of authorities, including ourselves at the County Council, on the proposed policies and site allocations that really will help shape Hinckley and Bosworth as a borough in the future and a wider area as well. Leicestershire County Councillors actively participated in the previous rounds of consultation, and as I said, this one builds on those responses and also responds to the new aspects of the plan. So our comments and recommendations in the report are really designed to support preparation of a sound and deliverable local plan. The County Council recognises that the best way to be able to manage and provide for growth is to have a local plan and not rely on speculative allocations. So we're keen to work with the county with the Borough Council on progressing their local plan. And we do recognise that this Regulation 18 consultation does take on board feedback and comments received, and so those are welcomed by the County Council. So as you move through the report, you'll see that there are key themes and particular areas that we're looking to develop an understanding of with Hinckley and Bosworth as we move forward. So as we've been talking about, infrastructure and developer contributions are a really important part of developing the plan to make sure it's deliverable and the right infrastructure and services come forward. That there is good alignment with our strategic plans and policies. So, for example, we expect the Hinckley and Bosworth local plan to reflect the enabling travel choice strategy that's Cabinet considered and is currently out for engagement, and also things like the local transport plan, as well as things like the school places strategy that was mentioned earlier as they come forward. Evidence for the plan is a really key issue for us. So transport evidence, making sure that we have full transport evidence we can make informed decisions about, and the need for any major projects associated with that. education and service provision is a key part of our response. And as we've just heard earlier, it's really critical that we get the right places, school places available at the right time, particularly when we're looking to manage growth. And also making sure that the outcomes of the strategic health impact assessment are taken account of when the local plan is being developed. So we recognise that plan making is best done collaboratively, and LCC's response here, LCC Leicestershire County Council's response here is intended to help develop a sustainable plan for the future. As you mentioned, Leader, we have received representations from county councillors, including Mr Meelan and Mr Tilbury, and citing those concerns raised by the Norton Heath objection group. And just wanted to touch on that as a significant change in this Reg 18 consultation from Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council of a strategic site and a new settlement in part of the borough, also extending into part of North West Leicestershire Council and North West Leicestershire District Council. And we do appreciate the concerns being raised. So the specialist teams within our departments will look into the issues raised as part of our consultation process. But I think also just wanted to, I suppose, make clear that groups and individuals such as the Norton Heath objection group can make their own representations to the local plan consultation. Those can be made directly to the Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council before the 28th of November. But in recognition of the concerns and the need for further evidence, we have amended the recommendations in the report, and they now read as per the order paper, where recommendation B has been amended to read: the Chief Executive, following consultation with Cabinet Lead Member, be authorised to make any minor amendments to the consultation response prior to his submission to Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council by the 28th of November 2025, including to strongly emphasise the urgent need for further evidence on the proposed strategic development Norton Heath, given the significant concerns the County Council has over the proposed allocation. So we will review the response that is attached as the appendix to the report, Leader, taking on board the amended recommendation, work to emphasise that and submit the response. There will be ongoing conversations between officers in order to progress the plan in light of these concerns prior to the Reg 19 consultation. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much for that. Members, I will now move the motion on the order paper. The County Council's response set out the key comments for consideration by Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council in progressing its new local plan and seeks to ensure alignment with Leicestershire Strategic Growth Plan. The comments should influence the content of the local plan in the interests of local communities. I call upon Mr Adam Tilbury to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Jenna. The extensive report outlines the position of Leicestershire County Council. My comments are specifically about Norton Heath. I would like to add that if Norton Heath ever goes ahead, it would have a catastrophic impact upon a very rural community. We're talking about a development the size of Ashby de la Zouch being dropped into an area ill-equipped with resources to deal with it. Having spoken to the local county councillor, Councillor Mellon, and the local residents, it's clear they feel their way of life and culture would be destroyed, and I happen to agree with them. The A5 and A444 are already cripplingly busy at rush hour, and concreting over large areas of green fields would no doubt mean increase in risk of flooding in at-risk areas such as Tibston. Thank you, Mr Chairman. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Is that agreed? Thank you. We move on to item 7, the annual delivery report, performance compendium 2025. The agenda item 7 presents the draft annual delivery report and performance compendium 2025. This sets out the council's progress and performance over the past year. The Scrutiny Commission will consider the report on 10th of November and the draft minutes attached to the order paper marked 7A. Mr Andy Brown, team leader of the Business Intelligence, will present the report. Then I'll ask Mr Harrison Fowler to speak as the lead member. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, item 7 presents the draft County Council annual delivery report and performance compendium for 2025. The delivery report, which we are required to produce and publish under local authority governance guidance, highlights some of the progress against key priorities and objectives of the Council's main service strategies, including those areas subject to improvement activity. The year has seen positive examples of delivery across the Council's main service areas, with progress often supported by success in bidding for additional resources from a variety of sources. Following the elections in May, there's been a particularly strong focus on delivering high-quality public services, lobbying government for a better financial deal for Leicestershire, progressing a fundamental efficiency review to drive down the budget gap, putting more resources into tackling flooding, reviewing traded services such as school food and Bowmanor Hall, progressing a preference for local reorganisation, which would save circa £40 million for local taxpayers, and consulting on a new staff working arrangements policy. Other examples across some of the main service areas included in the report include major highway construction, such as the North and East Motorway Distributor Road, progressing the A511 major road growth corridor scheme, Souch Bridge replacement scheme, and £22 million programme for maintenance and improvement, including the Market Harbour transport strategy. Also extensive improvements to the public transport network, including new bus routes and 11 new demand responsive transport services, 46 new electric buses introduced in by July 2026, and also a variety of active travel and road safety initiatives. In relation to the environment, launching a local nature recovery strategy and a first biodiversity duty plan, supporting the Charmond Forest UNESCO bid, continued partnership work with the wildlife charity Nature Spot to boost biodiversity and progress tree planting, and also progressing the Leicestershire resources and waste strategy and provision of rehome zones at county waste recycling centres, and allocate an extra £2 million to tackle flooding and achieve an extra £1 million for flood alleviation measures in Stony Stanton. For children and families, continued provision of health visitors, Healthy Tots programme, oral health team, healthy eating programme, book start programme and regular reader sessions, with family support through the Household Support Fund and targeted family help service and family hubs. And the front door service has also supported circa 2,000 families with advice and support, including the Teen Health Service delivering a variety of initiatives. With regard to education, you've heard about the new school places strategies to 2030. The county's first forest school opened in August 2025, together with expansion at 4 secondary schools, providing 924 additional school places, with Bowman Academy also opening, providing additional SEND provision, along with a range of other SEND improvements. Economic Skills Works, including securing £3.2 million skills bootcamp funding to deliver a range of skills courses, £2 million Freeport investment in the Future Energy Skills Hub, and adult learning and multiply programmes, and then a variety of other economic work around the Enterprise Zones programme, invested in Leicestershire, Freeport Investments and Airfield Business Park. Public Health has seen securing £5.25 million funding to deliver health research to tackle health inequalities, and also work to reduce health inequalities for people with learning disabilities, community-based immunisation initiatives, a new Leicestershire air quality action and health plan, and continued health in all policies approach. And a couple of other areas, adult social care has seen improved adult mental health provision, new home care arrangements, a better website, access to customer information and customer feedback, new care technology, and also enhanced adult social care improvement plans. And just finally, the communities area, important communities area, seen improved service usage, variety of awards for museums, cultural assets and libraries, continued growth in volunteering and volunteer roles, and then a range of work from trading standards such as enforcement visits and inspections at East Midlands Airport, and the council's implemented a new customer experience strategy. So just some of the examples just to pull out of the good delivery this year in the report, and credit to those elected members and officers all involved in achieving that. With perhaps a specific mention on this occasion for the important role that the Chief Executive, Mr Sinnott, has played over a number of years in establishing the Council's strong performance culture, performance management arrangements and delivery reputation, working very closely with the Council's political leadership. The second section, the performance component, I won't go through all the data in the report, does include a range of supporting information. Does include the core spending power table, which again highlights Leicestershire as the lowest funded county, despite considerable efforts to improve that position, with significant differentials from other local authorities, particularly in London, making it increasingly difficult to meet the service demand and relieve pressure on council tax levels. Overall, Leicestershire in the benchmarking in 23-24 was in the top 5 performing counties, county unitaries, despite being the lowest funded, so a positive overall position. 24-25 seen a range of changes in the data. 73 indicators have improved in the last year, particularly in lower performing areas, and that's positive. However, the ongoing legacy of the pandemic in areas such as public health, alongside cost of living pressures and increased service demand and low service funding, has continued to be felt, with some indicators worsening. And we have a continued focus on those areas through service improvement plans. Paragraph 21 of the report summarises those areas with a continued delivery focus. The report was considered by the Scrutiny Commission on the 10th of November, and the Commission was positive in having this wide range of performance information available to them. The recommendations are set out in paragraph 3. Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to take any questions at the end of the discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I'd like to call upon Mr. Harrison Fowler to speak to move the motion on the order paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank the officers to start with, including yourself, for a very thorough kind of assessment of the report, and I thank the Scrutiny Commission as well. And I note their comments, and I concur with basically their conclusions that it's a relatively strong position, all things considered, especially with how inadequate and unfair our funding situation is, per head, which obviously needs addressing as a separate issue. The general uptick that we've had across the board is a really promising thing, and I think it's something we should be proud of. And the fact that we're still at those top levels compared to other authorities, despite the funding issues, is a really, really good thing, and I'm very proud of that. I think it's always important to address some of the criticisms as well, which is always good. So the things that the Scrutiny Commission noted with the adult social care minor shortfalls, I'm glad that's being addressed, particularly with the new improvement plan. But there has been positives even there as well, with the changes to the procurement strategies, particularly helped by Mr. Innes's contributions. So yeah, I'm very happy to move the motion, and again, big thanks to Andy. Brilliant.
Right, thank you. It is pleasing to see the effective transition that has taken place over the last few months to our new administration, highlighted in the report, as well as some of the wider good work and services delivered by the council. It is just a start, but we're already starting to see the difference we have made. Our efficiency review will further accelerate these changes. We're determined to close the budget gap whilst continuing to ensure high quality services delivery for Leicestershire residents. This report was well received at the Scrutiny Commission last week, and I'm happy to second the motion. Is that agreed? Thank you. Right, agenda item 8 advises of the performance of the County Council's trading standards strategy, which set out the performance of the Council's trading services. The report also provides us with an update on the progress on exiting the school food business and engagement over the future Bow Manor. The Scrutiny Commission considered the report on the 10th of November, and a draft minute is attached to the order paper marked 8A. Richard Hunt, head of the Catering, Hospitality and Country Parks, will present the report. I'll then ask Harrison Fowler to speak as the Cabinet lead member. Thank you.
Thank you. This paper sets out the annual report of the Traded Services Strategy as agreed by the Cabinet back in 2023. And it also provides updates on the progress of exiting the school food business and the engagement exercise over Bow Manor. The overall position in 2024 to 2025 in traded services was a significant improvement on the outturn figures for 2023 to 2024. The service outperformed its budget target by £250,000 to give a contribution of £243,000. Overachieving services included our professional services and our property services. but the main driver of the improvement was around £1.5 million improvement in the performance in the school food service. This service is set to return to generating a financial contribution to the council in this current financial year, and credit is due to the school food team for achieving such a turnaround over the past couple of years. Despite this improved financial performance, the long-term future for school food is challenging, with retendering of services by schools in a desire for cheaper prices. And in light of this, Cabinet agreed to exit the service from the end of this academic year at its meeting in July. Since then, staff and schools have been informed, and we are being supported where required to help them to find a new catering provider. To move to the other major commercial service within this report, which is Bow Manor Hall. Bow Manor Hall saw another challenging financial year with a net cost of just under £500,000. There were improvements in income from the previous financial year within the hall side of the business, although this still fell short of the budget target that had been set. The temporary closure of the hall in this financial year from April to June due to the potentially dangerous chimneys did lead to an estimated loss of income in this financial year of around £100,000. At the meeting in July 2025 of Cabinet, Cabinet agreed an engagement programme with the public around the future potential of Bow Manor. And within the paper, you can see a summary of the progress to date of that engagement exercise. We're delighted that over 888 responses have been received from the public and from businesses, and also 2 in-person events have been held at Bow Manor. There's currently a school engagement questionnaire which is live to gather feedback from schools who use the Outdoor Education Centre. There are some great ideas coming through in this process, and some of the emerging themes that might be worthy of developing into fuller business cases are set out in point 46 in the report. And the outcomes of this will come to a future Cabinet meeting. So the current forecast position for the current financial year is of a financial contribution of £333,000 from our traded services. We are continuing to see a weakness in a number of service areas where income targets are unlikely to be hit. And this is reflective of the softening of the market with schools as budget constraints affect what services they can buy, and also is reflective of the process of winding up school food taking place this academic year and next. And so as such, the forecasted financial contribution of £333,000 is a variance on the budget. And this forecast and the MTFS will need to ensure that they reflect the as-is costs until the improvement plan at Bow Manor has been implemented. And so the recommendations are as per the order paper.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Richard. I call upon Mr. Fowler to speak and move the motion on the order paper.
Thank you again, Chair. Thanks, Richard. And obviously he's not here, but thanks, Declan, for a lot of the hard work he's been putting in and the rest of the team. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges that we're facing with our traded services at the moment, but there is a lot of potential as well. And there's a lot of reputation that we have for providing a high quality asset and holding on to that. So I really take great personal pride in that. With the school food service, and there's been a lot of talk about it, and I know it is regrettable that it is something that we're having to get rid of, but ultimately it's not been made lightly, and it's financially the responsible thing to do. Yes, we've had a good year in terms of turning things around, and as Richard says, that really is credit to the school food team, because they've done a great job at getting it back, at least to a temporarily healthy point. But exiting now is the right strategy. At the end of the day, we provided a quality service, and it's just market conditions. It's the way that things go, unfortunately, and we have to listen to that. I just want to touch on the cafe side of things, leasing things out. I think that makes sense. I quite like the fact that we're utilising private sector capacity and intuition. It tends to be the way forward, and I really hope and think that there will be some positive movement going forward with regards to revenue. Bow Manor Hall, again, another hot topic. I'm glad that the public engagement is going so well and has been widely received. There's been a lot of different ideas about it thrown around internally and externally. I think personally for me and as the administration, again, we take great pride in it. And I know a lot of the residents around the area and the people that visit it also take pride in it. So it's something that we want to see prosper and we think can prosper and that will mirror the performance of its private sector competitors. So we're really working on that and I'm hopeful for the future. And then I just wanted to touch on Century Theatre as well, because I know that's a point of interest for the people in Northwest Leicestershire. I think there's more unique market drives when it comes to some of the challenges that they're facing with the cinema industry as a whole, but that doesn't mean that there isn't potential there as well. So we're looking at all options. But yeah, I'm happy to move the motion. And again, thank you to the officers.
Thank you. Could I call upon Mr. Abbott to second the motion?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you. Could I have a show of hands? Thank you. Right, item 9 refers to the overview scrutiny. There are no items referred to in the overview scrutiny committee. Number 10 is urgent items. There are no urgent items. Item 11, exclusion of the press and public. That brings public part of this meeting to a close.
We need to move it.
Yeah. I now move that under section 100A of the Local Government Act of 1972, the public be excluded for the following item of business on the ground that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraphs 3 and 10 of Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act. In all circumstances, a case of the public interest is maintained and the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. Is that agreed?
Can you just hold on until we switch on?
Yeah.